Okay, we'll call the November 14th. The November 14th, 2022 Forest Grove School District Board of Directors meetings called to order at 5:31 p.m. We'll call the board members present. And Mark Everett, board chair present. Present.
Valerie, you're present.
And Kate Grandusky and Narce Rodriguez. Well, Kate will not be here in our same May 20th. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, a quick introduction of the audience and staff.
Kim Chair, Student Services, Eileen Flute, Business.
Mark Vegas. Enrique Pinion, Technology. David Warner, Communication.
Very good, thank you. All right, no student representative report this evening. Miley is tonight a basketball trial, so for her. So, well, I'll turn it over to Mr. O'Neill, who's sitting in this evening for Mr. Parker, who left.
Yes, I just checked in with them. I hope he's doing well. So under correspondence celebrations, we have no correspondence. Calendar notes, we have a winter band concert on December 6th at 7 p.m. FGEA benefit concert, Michael Allen Harris, December 7th at 7 p.m. Forest Grove High School Orchestra concert, December 8th at 7 p.m. Forest Grove High School Jazz and Mariachi concert, December 9th at 7 p.m. Tom McCall Band and Orchestra concert at Forest Grove High School, December 12th at 7 p.m. NAM's choir concert at NAM's, December 13th at 7 p.m. Notice the time, all at 7. Yeah, and NAM's band and orchestra concert at NAM's, December 14th at 7 p.m. and Forest Grove High School choir concert, December 15th at 7 p.m. So a lot of things going on, quick things. Oh yeah, thank you. And breakfast with Santa. The Kiwanis Club is doing that with our Key Club to raise scholarships for the seniors this year. And that is December 3rd. Yeah,
I'm
thank
not
you.
sure if this is still happening, but the play this past weekend flew, and my daughter was a sister of the play, and they had a great time. And I think it might be going next weekend as well. Very good. Go check it out.
Yeah, I happened to see it yesterday, and it's the 18th and 19th as well, and it's really good, outstanding. That's that. They don't need to see that. So, no recognition tonight. Superintendent comments. Dave did some superintendent comments along with Kathy. So, Dave wanted to take a moment and say thanks. The district is grateful for the passing of the school bond. This will impact every school, but in particular, the district will rebuild Cornelius Elementary. It is over capacity and aging, and this will fix both of those issues. It will address safety and security needs in the district, and we will be toughening up exteriors and entries, and we'll be updating and replacing security and fire alarms. We'll be addressing millions of dollars of deferred maintenance to ensure the investment our community has in its schools is taken care of. There are pre-K classrooms remodeled and set up in every school. There are 2 classrooms built in the high school to reopen its pre-K and restart the education pathway that will help our students become educators we need right now. There are a slew of other things this will buy, but mostly we want to say thank you. Now the work begins. We are already with the project manager firm, Cornerstone, and we will hire to guide us through this process. As we get closer to developing a timeline, we will come back and present that out to the board. The district lost 2 colleagues over the past couple of weeks, and we wanted to acknowledge them. First, Ken Vaughn. Ken served as a teacher, counselor, and school psychologist and coach in the Forest Grove School District for 35 years, from 1959 to 1994. Ken was head of the counseling department for both the high school and elementary schools. With his wife Nancy, he taught parenting classes for over 20 years, giving unselfishly of his time and talents to families of the community. All who participated gained valuable skills from attending these classes and formed some lasting friendships with their neighbors and fellow parents. Ken also coached at the middle school and high school. He was the head baseball coach at the high school beginning in 1979 for 15 years. The 1986 team were the Willamette Valley League champions. Ken also coached Grimmett's senior Babe Ruth Ball baseball team. 1986, the team won the National Senior Babe Ruth Championship in Owensburg, Kentucky. 5 members of that team went on to play professional baseball. In 1995, the baseball field at Lincoln Park was named Bond Field to honor Ken and Nancy for their years of dedication to youth baseball in Forest Grove. Also, sadly, we lost Diane Johnson. Mrs. Johnson taught elementary school from 1968 to 1995 in our district. Students at Harvey Clark Elementary School remember her fondly as the kindergarten teacher who taught them how to read and tie their shoes. She was always kind, and students knew her how much she cared. Again, we will miss both of our former employees who made a significant impact to our community. Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay. Unscheduled public appearance. The board appreciates community members sharing information during public comments. Public comments will be made in person or submitted through the designated form on the web page. Be read by district staff or registered Zoom participants who indicated through the form they wanted to put their comments live. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. This is the protocol for board meetings. Public criticism or complaints about school district personnel are not allowed at this time. Are there any public comments? Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. The consent agenda is made up of routine, non-controversial items to be voted on under one motion. Are there any items within the consent items a board member or the superintendent wishes to discuss? No.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented. And I'll second it.
All right. Roll call vote. I'm a yes. Brad?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We move on to presentations this evening. Both of them, I think, is the first one is the Pastor Elementary and School Secondary Emergency Relief Fund grant application.
Here, Brad, is a complete presentation for tonight. So tonight I have just 2 really quick presentations on financial updates. The first one is on our ESSER funds, ESSER 1, 2, and 3.
I don't think our-
It's just waiting for it to be online.
Very.
Okay, so the first thing, just to remind everybody on the purpose of ESSER, and that was to address learning loss, to help support school facilities and repair and improvements related to COVID-19, to support improvements for indoor air quality, and then basically anything else that falls under COVID-19 related activities. So it was pretty broad in supporting districts in anything related to the pandemic. We ended up with $13.4 million between the 3 ESSERs, with ESSER 3 being the largest, and we have until September 30th, 2024 to fully spend those. We tried in looking at the ESSER allocation, splitting it over the 3 years so that we weren't fully using it all in 1 year, but then we were going to try to stage it down and step it down over the period. So it wasn't as large of a loss when we end up losing, when the grants go away. For ESER 1, we ended up with 923,000. This was all spent last year. And it was mostly, we used it to support health services and IA supports in the buildings. And then temporary license subs and technology. So that's really how we utilize ESER 1. And that has been fully spent. ESER 2, we plan on having it fully spent by the end of this year. It might go into next year a little bit, just based on timing for HVAC equipment and getting the equipment in place. We have a lot of POs out right now for HVAC equipment and they're 12 months out. So our hope is by the end of the year, we'll have ESER 2 fully spent, but it might trickle in through the rest of the summer. And ESER 2, the big focus on ESER 2 was HVAC improvements for our district. So that was the biggest priority. And then the other piece is technology devices and software over the 3 years. As far as ESER 3, ESER 3 had a requirement. It's the only one that had a requirement that a certain percentage had to be spent on student interventions. And so 20% has to be spent on student interventions. We are spending almost half, it's about 49% of our ESER 3 funds on student intervention related items. So that is online basics, that's going to be building allocations. A lot of the buildings are using it for IA supports for pushing in during different times of the day. And then the summer programs match. And then we also have alternative education over at Calc that we are supporting some at Calc and NAMS that we're supporting some FTE in for that. So, but the primary piece of that is just building allocations. We looked at the buildings enrollment, their demographics, and then took $1 million each year and are pushing that out to the buildings to use based on where their priorities are individually. But overall, a little bit is being spent on HVAC and air quality, up to 30%. And then the other big piece is the direct student services. So that is ESER 1, 2, and 3 by year. It's actuals through 2022, estimates for this year and next year. Again, this year is projected on what I hope to spend by the end of the year, but the HVAC stuff and the air quality improvement stuff, I see some of that pushing off into the 3rd year. We might end up having a challenge just based on what we know right now of getting all of the equipment in on time. So we're working with maintenance and facilities on making sure that we are spending that and getting those projects done as soon as we can so that we're not up against that time. Yeah. So any questions on ESER? Okay. And then the other financial presentation I have tonight is just a quick 2010 bond financial report. This is the last one that we'll be giving. Overall, we ended up with $67.6 million in proceeds. It's $2.3 million over the original bond. That's because of interest, the bond premium, rebates and credits that we received through the process. The gap between the bond that was sold and the bond proceeds, most of that was primarily spent on just additional deferred maintenance that qualified under the original bond scope. So a lot more deferred maintenance was done with that bond. To date, we've spent $67.3 million. We do have $258,000 left. It is fully committed and it should be done in the next couple of months. So we'll fully spend off that interest revenue that we had. We were kind of using it over the last couple of years on parking improvements, and the Neil Armstrong roof got done with that. So in the last year, and then there's just a graph that shows kind of how the 2010 bond was spent by major projects. Joseph Gale, Horseshoe High School, those were the 2 big priority projects for the last. So, any questions on that?
Is this on the website, really? So that
All of this is on the website.
that's what people can see how the money was spent?
Yes. Great. Any other questions? That is all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And, Moving on to action items. We have, three of them, four of them.
Five.
Five of them. Five of them.
They're all in the market.
And they're all mine. So, start with the first one, American Education Week proclamation. American Education Week was first celebrated in 1921. As an opportunity to celebrate public education, to inform the community of the accomplishments and needs of public schools, to secure cooperation and support from the public, and to honor individuals for making a difference in ensuring that every child receives a quality education. So there is a proclamation. I'll read it, and then once I'm done, if we can have a motion on that, we can inform you. The week is November 14th to 28th, or the time period is November 14th to 28th.
Through the 18th.
To the 18th. Okay, 14th to the 18th, 2022. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Whereas public schools are the backbone of our democracy, providing young people with the tools they need to maintain our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, and equality. And whereas by equipping young Americans with both practical skills and broader intellectual abilities, schools that give them hope for and access to a productive future. And whereas education employees, be they custodians or teachers, bus drivers, or librarians, work tirelessly to serve our children and communities of care and professionalism. And whereas schools are community linchpins, bringing together adults and children, educators and volunteers, business leaders and elected officials in a common enterprise. Now, therefore, the Forest Grove School District Board of Directors do hereby proclaim November 14th to 18th, 2022 as the observance of American education.
I move that we approve the American Education Week proclamation as presented. Thanks, Mark.
And I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. We'll want to do a roll call vote. Val?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. So that passes. Superintendent evaluation timeline. The draft timeline. The draft timeline for superintendent evaluation for the 2022-2023 school year is attached. Timeline identifies key dates as outlined in the superintendent contract. We reviewed this at our last meeting, so I don't believe there was any discussion about that timeline. So I'll move that we approve the timeline.
I'll second.
And moved and seconded, we'll roll call vote. I'm a yes. Brad?
I mean, yes.
Yes.
Okay. That motion passes. The superintendent evaluation criteria. The evaluation criteria is attached for review. This document was created by Oregon School Boards Association. It has been used by the board in the past several years. Another one that we looked at last time, we've used it for the last number of years. No comments or concerns last week, so I'll move that we approve this. Superintendent evaluation.
I'll second.
All right, moved and seconded. Roll call vote. I'm a yes. Eric, Brad?
I mean, yes.
Yes.
No. All right. Okay. Next one is, I believe, yeah. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Criteria is kind of long.
Yeah, I don't know. It is. We need to really- I don't. I'll review this.
So on behalf of Superintendent Parker will provide his draft goals at the October 24th, 2022 board meeting. There were no suggested changes or additions from board members. And we are asking for approval as presented.
So moved.
Second.
The second, all right, roll call votes now.
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. And item 5 here is the Chromebook repair service.
Thank you. The action item before you today is, that's just services of a third-party company for Chromebook repairs. Funds for Chromebook repairs were already approved as part of the FGSD technology department budget for 22-23 using ESSER funds. With the volume of pending repairs from the pandemic and recently damaged devices over the course of the last school year and this school year, there's the potential the total cost of repairs could exceed $50,000, which would require board approval for the 22-23 school year. The following details for the Chromebook repair service. The vendor that we use is Chromebookparts.com. Again, the funding source was ESSER, and the current cost of repairs as of the 8th, so the last one we got was approximately $25,000. We did get alternative vendor quotes from 3 different other parties. This company turned out to be the best, both overall price and the best service. So our recommendation from the administration to the board approved the purchase of Chromebook repair service through Chromebookparts.com, not to exceed the budget amount for the school year, $60,000 for the fiscal year 2023.
Questions for Enrique or no?
No questions. I'll make a motion that the board approves the purchase of Chromebook repair service through Chromebookparts.com, not to exceed $60,000 for fiscal year 2023.
Second. Need a second. So a roll call vote, I'll be a yes.
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 Yes. Thanks very much. Let's see, I think we're on the future action items. So one future action item, the November 28th, 2022 work session will be changed to we're going to change it to a discussion around professional learning committee and the recent work done to develop a portrait of a grant, which I believe is going to be pretty important in the strategic plan. So
Who's presenting that?
is that you, John? Okay.
I'm sure Dave Parker will assist.
Education about various areas of family safety are addressed in a variety of ways, and upcoming workshops are outlining parent communication that comes out through the parent square twice a month. Are there any items board members would like to add to the current business? Or are there any committees or other activities board members intended that they would like to report? I'll just say that I went to the OSBA conference on that weekend in Portland, and it was they had 2 keynote speakers, which were really very good speakers. They were at least the one on Saturday was talking about he was a disadvantaged young man growing up in the South, and his process through education experience was not good. And through his story, he actually ended up at Harvard in a debate. He's got an organization at Harvard now where he takes young people from the Atlanta area, inner city area, works with them for a year, and then he takes them to Harvard to a summer debate program where young students from all over the world come to debate. And his group has won that competition the last 5 years against groups that are from all over the world, private schools, elite private schools, India, England, Australia, all over. And so it was really quite a great presentation. It was really kind of fun to hear. And the other thing that I would just say is that I attended Washington County school board members and legislative policy committee members from the OSBA got together for an hour on Saturday and talked a little bit about the upcoming work ahead. So This is going to be a year when they set the budgets. The legislature will be in session, and there was a lot of talk around dollar figures and current service levels. What I heard at the meeting was that many districts' current service levels, there are some numbers that are floating around in terms of how much schools are going to get this next biennium. And what I heard was that many of the districts, looking at that number, it leaves them short, very short. And so there will be work ahead, there will be meetings ahead. In fact, at that meeting, we may ask a board member or two to sit in with a couple of our legislatures on campus to talk a little bit about the work ahead and adequately funded schools. So there were other things, but those are kind of the highlights. So also just some information items. In November 1, 2022 enrollment report was included in the packet, and also the financial report, the monthly financial report was included in the packet. So unless there are any other comments, okay, I will adjourn the meeting this evening at 5:57.
Thanks, Mark.